Hi, everybody. Welcome. We are Divorceify so excited for today. We have two brilliant women and the founders of my divorce solution, Karen and Catherine. So today, what they're going to share with us is what they have created, which is a financial portrait. And we're also going to talk about why we have partnered up with them and why the Divorceify team is so excited about this partnership. So for those of you who don't know me, I am one of the founders of Divorceify. I am Sonia. I am a recovering divorce litigator. I am a divorce survivor as well. When we started Divorceify, we really started it in order to really get clients to take the right first step right from the beginning of their process. We understand that every divorce is different. We understand that every client's needs are different. And we understand that every client's non-negotiables are different. And with that, we created our Divorce GPS, which is a customized roadmap powered by a machine learning algorithm that really allows people to respond to a series of questions right from the beginning of their divorce process and allows them to get a curated roadmap of where to start, who to get connected to, what type of resources pertain to them and can help them throughout the process. With this, my divorce solution is the perfect complement to that initial stage of the divorce roadmap. Why? Their financial portrait is something, Divorceify gets pitched a lot of things all the time. This is one of the best products out there, and this is why. It is not just an overview of somebody's financial situation. It is a true analysis that is curated to that person, that couple, so they can really understand not only what their financial landscape looks like today, but what it could look like. It also identifies different issues, red flags, considerations. So essentially, that client is able to really understand what they're working with and what they have when it comes to their finances. So for our professionals, what does that mean? Well, simple. It means that when you're getting a client in your door that is sitting down in front of you, they're prepared, they're educated, they're well informed. So then they can start to make the hard decisions and move their family forward. So today, I will stop right here because these are two women that I adore and have so much respect for. Welcome, Karen and Catherine.
Thank you, Sonia. Yeah, hello, everyone. That was really a great beginning. I love it. Yeah, so thank you for that. Let me just tell you all a little bit about how Karen and I got together to form my divorce solution. I was married for 20 years. I got divorced. I was a financial planner. I raised 5 children. 3 were from my ex's previous marriage, and then we had 2 together. So I understand a blended family very well. When I went through the steps to finally go through with the divorce, I realized, even as a financial and have an accounting degree and working with money all these years, that I was really so scared. And I thought, well, if I'm scared, there's got to be, at first it was hundreds of women that are scared, is what I was thinking. I knew Karen. Karen has a non-for-profit for women. She has asked me to speak at her event a couple of times. After meeting Karen, knowing that she was a firm administrator to a law firm, an experienced paralegal, and worked in the litigation field with her team of attorneys there, I knew she had the experience because when I started working with just divorcing women at that time in 2011, I really saw that the process was worse than I thought it was. It was bigger. There was a bigger problem out there than I even knew. And I knew Karen would be a great partner because she understood the litigation side that I did not understand. So I asked her to come together with me and form a process that would be better for divorcing couples. I gave up my FINRA licenses. I do not invest people's money for them. I strictly work as a CDFA in the divorce field. We refer out to our financial planners. We send our clients to them now or work with some of them during the process. But what we have found is that that you all know already is that divorce really is about where you are physically, where you are emotionally, and where you are financially. And what's the best way to help couples get through this process so that their kids in turn end up being better in the long run? Because I do not believe that divorce messes up a family or children. I do believe that how both parents behave before, during, and after divorce can mess up your children. So with our process, our hope is that people divorce in a better way, that in turn, we're really advocating for their children. But it's a team approach here. So through the years, we've developed it into a process of just our financial portrait. What I love about it is a few things. It addresses where you are physically, where you are financially, and where you are emotionally, and it allows us to use the resources that we need to help a couple move through the process. The old process is you jump to an attorney, you're referred by whoever your friends or family tell you to go to, and you really don't know how to decompress any of your feelings or emotions through that process, and sometimes make decisions ahead of the game or too soon or too late that really impact the way you and your spouse unravel your relationship. So what happens when they come to through our process is that we provide that space where we can work with both parties or one. We prefer both, and we prefer at the beginning of the process. And we allow that space for them to start decompressing, so that when they're sharing their financial information, they get to tell us what they're thinking, and we're notating it. We're not giving them advice, but I'll give you an example of just a client before we tell you about our product. We have a client that comes in a couple of weeks ago. We immediately see a prenup. Well, we're not attorneys. We can't give them advice on a prenup. So what do? We have to send them back to Divorceify or send them to whoever their attorney is, and they have to get their prenup, get legal advice there. While they're doing that, and we're hearing the emotion of the other spouse, we're still working with our process to gather their financials. We stick within that realm, doing their budget, gathering this documentation. During this process of gathering the information, husband decides that he doesn't want to discuss his budget or any information because he wants a parenting plan put in place. He wants to be able to see his kids when he wants to. So his emotions are coming out. As we're notating that, what do? We have to send them to a parenting, either a parenting expert or whoever the resource is that he needs. He goes and he brings back information that we now house in our portrait as notations for whoever they're going to work with mediation or litigation if they have to go that route. So my point in this is, as we're working with our process that we've developed since 2011, we're able to let them go through the process in a better way and get them to the resources that they need while notating this and documenting it all, so that when we deliver them to you, when they're ready, you have all of this in our documentation, which we'll share with you. You have all this, so you're getting a really well-informed client, you're getting a really well-informed case, and you're able to help with whatever your expertise is. We all get to stay within our expertise here. I get very passionate about it. I'll turn it over to Karen so she can add a little bit here and or say anything that I forgot. We'll go through our product with you. And then, of course, we want this to be interactive. So if you have questions, just let us know either during or after.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Catherine. I'm going to go through the deliverable of the portrait so that you can kind of see it firsthand. But I want you to know that when clients come to us, they have a very specific process that they go through that really integrates the financial data assessment with the legal requirements. So when both Catherine and I went through our divorce, we saw that there was a gap there, that when you went to a financial, sometimes you didn't have the documentation to support it. And as we all know, the financial people, they're very focused on the data, very important. The legal people are very focused on where's all that documentation to support the data. And I grew up in the litigation world, and I know that everything that comes out of your mouth, you better have 3 pieces of paper to support it. So based on our different areas of expertise, this is where we have developed the financial portrait. So when clients come to us, the first thing they do is they start inputting their financial data. We help them with the budget. We answer any initial questions. We address any initial issues, like Catherine was saying. Do they need an attorney review or consult for one issue or another? Do they need to get engaged with a therapist? Do they need to start working with a parenting expert or a mediator specific to the parenting plan while we're working with them? Because we want to neutralize as much of their anxieties as possible while they engage with us financially. Then they have access to their secure client portal where they upload all their documents. During that time, our team is inventorying, organizing, and assessing every piece of paper so that, again, as we move forward, it becomes a fund of information and a foundation for every expert beyond us to use and to be able to rely on and count on and reference. They have an initial review with Catherine once all of that is completed, or a CDFA, one of our CDFAs on staff. And if there's any missing documentation, if they have any questions, or if they need to go back and get more information or documentation to really get the best portrait they can, they do that. And once they have said, I've given you everything you've asked for, or you know, this is all we have, this is all we want to give. Some couples are very collaborative with each other and they don't want to provide this extensive 3 years of documentation. We don't force that. All we do is at the end, we give them an assessment that says, did you upload these documents? They can say yes or no. If they say yes, that's great. If they say no, we say why. And so you as a professional, as an attorney or a mediator or a financial, will know that it was asked for and this is why they chose not to give it. So the portrait is delivered with that information.
I want to interject something right here because I know we have a lot of coaches and that we work with and therapists. And what's nice about this is that it allows the couple to handle their financial issues or emotions in this process. And as a coach or a therapist, you then get to see our notation on where they might be having anxiety or what they're willing to give and why, because we document everything. But it also allows couples to focus in on if they're emotionally staying together because they really want to stay together. Because we've had some couples that have gotten the portrait and we send them to a marriage counseling or suggest that to them and they stay together. You know, it was just a financial misunderstanding between the two of them, or one felt out of the loop. So it really helps our coaches and our therapists to focus on just the emotional side, not the financial side, not being put into a position to say, will I be financially okay? You know, and then if they do ask you that question, they can share their portrait with you and you can look at the numbers with them.
Thanks. Yeah.
So we have Karen and Catherine, we have a question. This is from Ronald Gold, and what he wants to know is, what are the upfront financial questions you ask on the first call with a prospective client? And how do you qualify prospective clients upfront?
Great question. Thank you, Ronald, because I started right after the fee agreement. So everything we do is flat fee. Let me just establish that. So when clients come to us, they either come to us through a referral or through our website, but we always go through, it's an algorithm that establishes their flat fee. And our fee is based on the complexity of their marital estate, not the valuation of it. So for all of those assets or debts that we would need to assess and organize for them, that's how we come up with the flat fee. So there's 7 questions on our website. We invite all of you to take the quiz so that you have that experience, but it just asks them, you know, how many checking accounts do you have? How many investment accounts do you have? What kind of retirement accounts do you have? Do you own a business? Do you have real estate? If so, you know, how many? Things like that. Do you have executive compensation? Life insurance, anything that would be relative to putting together their marital estate and helping them determine what's marital or separate. We try to be as concise as possible, and a lot of people don't even understand even the difference between an investment account and a retirement account. So once they go through that quiz, then they have a conversation with either me or Catherine, and we review it with them so that they understand, first of all, from a financial perspective, what they have and what we'll be assessing, but they'll also understand why it's so important that these steps are taken so that they have financial clarity as they're entering the divorce process. Did I answer your question? Great. Okay, so I'm going to take the opportunity here to just navigate you through the deliverable of the financial portrait so you can have an understanding of what it looks like from our Harry and Sally sample client. I'm going to share my screen here. So, introducing the MDS Financial Portrait. The financial portrait starts with an executive summary, and we feel like this is important so that the professional or their divorce team knows who participated, what kind of data and document was provided, what the date of assessment is. Some couples are not separated when they come to us. Some couples have not agreed on an assessment date or a separation date. So for our purposes, we look to have them agree to a date so that there's a singular reference point as we're putting together the documentation. And then there's an overview. So again, you as a professional and they as a client kind of have an understanding of, you know, this is generally what we have. These are the issues. And this is, you know, generally what our marital estate is moving forward. So the MDS Financial Portrait serves as the blueprint when considering the various scenarios, alternative, and consequences of your client's financial decisions. On to the next screen. The next thing will be a comprehensive table of contents. As you see, this report and portrait is very comprehensive. The reports that are provided for each client or clients, plural, is very specific to their needs. So everyone's will be a little different as to the reports generated, but you'll see again, there's a summary, there's a case information sheet that outlines their personal data. It's probably similar to what you would have them address in an intake form. If the state requires a financial affidavit, we do that from a financial perspective. So this is the financial disclosure for any specific state.
And that's to clarify that we are nationally located. Our headquarters are in Pennsylvania. This is a Pennsylvania client, I think, that we used. However, we do work nationally. Everything is digital. So any professional will have any of this reporting digitally.
Then there's an inventory of supporting and key documents. You'll see an image of that in a little bit. Key entries and assumptions, which, you know, are the basic financial data from, like, Catherine, you can explain this a little bit better.
So it'll be the assumptions used if a support calculation is requested. You'll see what income, what interest rate I'm using on any investment, what marital status is being used, who's taking child deductions. So you'll see all assumptions used for any calculation requested.
Next, you'll see a summary of agreed and non-verified valuations. This report helps you understand what the parties have agreed to, what they have either appraisals for or business evaluations for, or what they just agreed to generally, or if there's a disagreement. If one party submitted this valuation and the other one submitted that valuation, we don't get involved in the analysis of that. We just are providing you the information so you have that as a basis for your work with them.
You know, a great example of that is a client who stated that their marital home was premarital. Okay, so we requested the documentation for the proof of that. And all he could, after getting a little agitated, all he could come up with was a screenshot of the tax record that he was owner at some point of time prior to the marriage. But we asked for other documentation to support, like the check being paid to buy this house or anything. There were 5 items I think we asked for. Well, he couldn't produce any of those. Well, it's not our position to negotiate that for him or tell him he's right or wrong. So for his attorney or his mediator, I forget where they went to, the notation, and I guess this is the footnote, or it may have been on the recommendation or consideration, was husband, claims his property is separate property. He submitted a tax record saying he was the owner at this point in time. We requested X, Y, and Z, none of which were submitted. So now, as the professional, you just go down there, and if you want to subpoena something or if you want to mediate something based on their emotions, that's up to you. But you have it all there, right there for you. You don't have to do the work to go get it.
The next document in the report is a budget report. We do a lifestyle analysis with all of our clients, which sets the how the household ran during their marriage. Some couples want a separate budget, a post-divorce budget, so that they can start planning on how they will be planning their lifestyle post-divorce.
I'm going to interject here again, because the importance again of this is I really do love the space that we provide, because that lifestyle analysis is very different than just a budget. Here's your bills, X, Y, and Z. A lifestyle analysis is because, when you're dealing with the high net worth or even the middle class families, they're used to going to Starbucks and going here, and this is their lifestyle, right? But as they're telling us this and we're notating all this, what our therapists and coaches love is that when they see this, they're dealing with the emotions of, why do you need a Starbucks twice a day, every day? They're getting to see how they're living. Or when their attorney's saying, no, here's your calculation based on the income. You can't afford to go get Starbucks twice a day. I'm not picking on Starbucks, but it's just as an example. So it's a really, really important step in the divorce process that I think is overlooked a lot of times, because the emotional attachment to money and habits of money is really overlooked. And that, I think, is really what a lot of couples fight over. So we get to put them in this space that, Karen is an expert with the budgeting. She gets to be realistic with them, but we hear them out. They're decompressing their feelings right here. We're notating it. So now when we send it on to the other team of professionals that they need, they get it. They don't have to go through it again with you. They don't have to waste their time again. You get it, and you get to address the important aspects of that to help them move forward.
Okay, good, thanks. And then we go into the different reports based on the couple's specific scenario and what they have hired us to do. So some couples come to us and they've already divided some of their marital property, so that will always be notated. Some have premarital property, some have, they want specific scenarios based on their tax needs or their cash flow or retirement needs. So if requested, we provide that as well. And so that's what you'll see in all these different reports, but it will be very specific to the client. The next report is called a table of recommendations and considerations. This report is probably the most valuable report to the professionals and to the clients, because they're able to understand, let's just say a 401k account, but it addresses any asset and liability that's being divided. If they have a 401k account to divide, it sets out, make sure you cover these additional issues with your attorney or your mediator, so that while you may be agreeing to split it 50-50, 60-40, or whatever the case may be, you will need to address, are there loans against it? Do you want gains and losses? What is the effective date? Different things like that. I think for a 401k, there may be not like up to 6-7 considerations, but that this table sets out specific to the couple again, for every asset and liability, the additional, or a deeper dive into the division of those different assets or liabilities. There's graphs, so pictorial representations of the marital estate. We also provide definitions, and this just gives a reference point specifically to the clients because there's a lot of terms in family law and divorce that are just new. So it becomes a reference point for them. Then you'll also receive a copy of their signed professional agreement with us, so you'll know exactly the services we provided. And then the divorce checklist and assessment, I'll refer back to when I was talking about the questions we asked them. It's a very comprehensive checklist. So again, you as a professional will know what was requested, what they provided, and what they were not able to provide for whatever reason. So that's kind of an overview of the entire portrait. So here's the financial disclosure we were talking about. That's provided for all clients specific to their state. This is generally what an inventory of key and supporting documents are. The key documents are things like wills, deeds. We really try to get a marriage certificate, a comprehensive documents so that, you know, they really have everything they need. The supporting documents are all the statements, account statements, and documentation that supports their assets and liabilities.
What I love about that is you can find any one of those forms on this paper right now. We can find it in 5 seconds. We're not rifling through papers or boxes or anything else. If we need to refer back to something, you'll find it in 5 seconds, basically.
Yeah. And so they're all digitally accessible as well. So if, you know, the client would authorize access for their professional, and of course we would be sharing that documentation, or they would be providing it to you from their access to their portal. This is the agreed and non-verified valuations, again, so that you understand what they've agreed to, what the issues are as it relates to valuation of property. This is a general overview of their budget report. This is the statement of marital estate that we provide. You'll see on the left here, we're very generous with footnotes so that, again, you as a professional can understand the perspective of both clients and any issues that would be helpful to you as you're looking at the statement of marital estate. And these are specific custom reports that clients ask for. And of course, we're willing to put that together for you as a professional if you request that report, or for the client if they request specific reports that help them better understand or help them to make better and more informed decisions for their property division. This is an example of a graph. Some people like to see it in pictorial form, and so of course we provide that as well. This is just a snapshot of table of recommendations and considerations. They can be several pages long just because of the detail of discussion that a lot of assets needs to include. So this is just helping you understand that the MDS Financial Portrait is flat fee based on algorithms specific to the complexity of your client's financial estate. It provides your clients with predictable cost and the highest quality service. The average case involves about 20 hours of assessment and analysis by our entire MDS team. Extra charges may apply for business valuations, real estate appraisals, unique asset valuations, and legal liaison services. Some of this, obviously, we do not provide in-house, but with our partnership with Divorceify, we are able, and we're excited about a network of professionals that can assist our clients and become a strong team for them. I'm going to stop the share, and Sonia, we can open it up to questions.
Wonderful. Okay. So yes, let me open this up. Any questions? We have, let me just see. We have another question from Ronald. Are you actually quoting fees for appraisals?
No, we are not.
Mm-hmm.
No, we usually go to our resources in whatever county or state we're working with the client for appraisals.
Okay.
I'm assuming you're talking about real estate appraisals, but we do no appraising or pension evaluations, business valuations. We do none of that. We are strictly gathering documentation and making sure that we have the documentation necessary for the professional. Now, we do work with business evaluators, and they provide us checklists so that we make sure that while we're working with our client, we're getting the necessary documentation so that that professional doesn't have to backtrack and get additional documents for their use.
Okay, great. Yes, Ronald was talking about all kinds of appraisals, Karen.
Yes.
Perfect. I have a question. How long does the process take for a client on average?
Well, if they move according to our tool process, it would take 7 weeks. However, if they don't submit something and it takes them 3 weeks, then it's 3 weeks longer. So at every phase, we move according to if they're waiting for an appraisal, let's say, it'll take as long as the appraisal comes in until we have all the documentation. So as long as we have all the documentation, we'll move at their own pace.
Perfect.
Yeah. And I just want to add to that, once a client engages with us, we're with them. We don't just let them stall out, because everything's relative to that date of assessment. And we know how important it is not to let data get stale. So they're hearing from us almost weekly when they're when they're inputting their financial data or gathering their documents, because we want to be right there for them to help them get the best information, because we know that the information needs to be as current as possible moving forward. And they understand it when they're working with us.
Great. So 2 more questions. Another one from Ronald. Do you charge appraisers for your services, or is there a referral arrangement?
No and no. We just look for really good resources for our clients.
Great. And now we have a question from Jennifer Warren Medwin. Excuse me, 2 questions from Jen. First one, why would a client hire your company as opposed to hiring a forensic accountant?
Well, that's a really good question. A forensic accountant typically is utilized to vet out dissipation of assets. A lot of our clients are coming to us because they want to have financial clarity. They want to understand what they have, what their options are. They're really coming to us from a place of trying to understand. They're not coming to us from a place of adversity. So sometimes we do need to utilize forensic accountants, especially when there are cases of dissipation and so forth. But again, we're able to deliver over to the forensic accountant all of the data and documents necessary so that they can do their best work. But from our perspective, we are really looking to neutralize the relationship as much as possible, because we then are able to get the most complete information and documentation possible from both parties, because there's no threat there, there's no adversity, everyone's working to the same goal.
The other point to that is, again, because we have that space of them decompressing, they're not jumping to their forensic accountant saying, oh my God, he's stealing everything, or she's taking everything, and we're running, and the forensic accountants are starting at like a litigator would start. So we love working hand in hand with the forensic accountant and saying, here's where we got to, here's what we see, because, a lot of it we could put out there, then they're picking up and doing what they're really trained to do. And that's not to do this beginning phase. There's no reason to pay a forensic accountant right from the get-go. Again, we want to streamline this process, not only for you as the professionals, but for the clients going through it, because we'll get the most out of them. We'll move them forward faster. And then we all get more clients doing it that way when we're trained to do what we're trained to do. Same reason we don't send them to litigators from the beginning either, unless it's 8% of the cases out there. 8% of the cases going through divorce really need litigators from the beginning. So we send them there, but it's very few.
Mhm.
A series of questions. Here we go. Another one from Jennifer. What is the lowest fee and the highest fee that your company has charged?
Thank you.
1,500 and 20,000, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, the 20,000 was super high net worth estate, but we actually have a lot of very high net worth estates because I think those particular clients understand the value of financial clarity. They understand the value of getting that information together and documentation together so that they can take it to their different advisors so that everyone, again, is working from the very same fund of information and documentation.
Great. Question from Patrick Brown. So I understand you are currently combining both proprietary software and professional analysis services. Do you anticipate training others to provide the analysis services using the software or providing the software separately?
Yes.
That's a good question. we are. We'll talk to you privately there because maybe you can help us. We're getting requests on both ends. We're currently working with our software developer to figure out what's best here. So we can get back to you on that.
Yeah. We currently use 5 different pieces of software to integrate this one particular document, but we are in the process of automating it so that other professionals can use it as well. So yeah, we really hope that this becomes industry standard for people going through divorce because it really is divorce inside out. It's taking people where they end up and helping them start there with the financial clarity that they need.
Wonderful. We're excited about this. Another question from Frank Sweeney. How do you work best with financial advisors? What are some best practices and how can we complement each other? Thank you.
Love that, Frank. Love that question. I'm assuming you're a financial planner. So I love financial planners and I love working with them. And again, this is really a key part of what we do as well. We have a lot of key parts. We get really excited because financial planners add a really valuable resource to us. Attorneys on opposing sides will not talk to the financial planner, or the financial planner sometimes gets stuck because now they have a great client. They might try to keep both sides of it, or they might only be keeping one side, one party. But the financial planner can really help me shortcut some of the recommendations and considerations with tax lots and a lot of different things because everyone thinks linear. But a financial planner who's been working with a family, establishing a plan, gives me some insight to give to both parties, actually. But what a financial planner does on a negative side, when they're not working with us, is that they come in, and so attorneys will call them meddlers a lot of times, because they'll come in and say, okay, Karen, I want you to go out, keep this, and you should keep this, and you should keep this, and who cares what Catherine wants, because I want you to have this, this, and this. But what they're not doing is they're not seeing what Catherine and Karen have been mediating. They don't know what Catherine gave up earlier in reference to another investment. They don't know the investments as the overall agreement. But when we get to work with the financial planners first, Frank, you might say, Catherine, this is why this was set up for this family. This trust was set up for the family and X, Y, and Z, or, this is why Karen wanted this. And so I get the insight because you have such valuable information. But a lot of times you're told not to share it because it'll hurt the other side or it'll help the other side. And that's not the way it should be, and you get to keep your clients because you get out of it. You're not in the middle of deciding what's best for them. And then afterwards, you get the portrait from whether they're both staying with you or typically one of them stays with you. You get to see everything that was discussed. You get to see how they came up with their agreements. And then based on the information that was given to them, and then you get to plan with them for their future, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I'm going to add to that as well. Financial planners and CDFAs, are very valuable resources, obviously, for a lot of people going through the divorce process. And using our portrait, it provides clarity and information and data so that you can help them then go back to mediation and say, these specific assets are very important to you. based on, your tax needs or your cash flow, retirement, whatever it may be. It allows you to have that all in front of you, along with the spouse's perspective of things.
Great. A few more questions. Let's see. Let me see. Ronald, is it okay for me to refer divorce clients in New York City to you for their preliminary fact-finding needs or exercise?
Yes, of course. You can refer them to email us at hello@mydivorcesolution.com, or they can go right through the web portal and take the quiz. We get their results. They get a preliminary result, which is very helpful because it helps them understand the value of their assets. It helps them, it gives them information as to why the portrait would be so valuable to them. So going through the website portal is a great way for clients to get introduced to the MDS Financial Portrait.
I just want to back that up again by saying, again, it allows the start for a little decompression of whatever anxiety is happening in that family dynamic, right? So that fact finding or that initial consultation or gathering also will inform them on what's the best process moving forward. So when they go back through the system to find their resources or to their GPS, they'll know what type of representation they need or what's needed next. So we love when they come in the beginning. Those are the best ones.
Great. Another question from Nikki Tucker. Can you share where you land on average for fees?
Yes.
What are you going to say?
You go ahead.
I was going to say 4,500 or 2,500. They're about even. 2,500 and 4,500.
Yeah, I agree. And for those clients who aren't sure that they want to receive this comprehensive portrait, we do have a very basic fee structure. It's $1,500 for them to get, just a basic property statement and their budget so that they can at least start, and then they can decide to get the comprehensive evaluation as well, because some people just aren't ready to take that step. And we understand that. So it's kind of like a stepping stone towards the more comprehensive.
Well, that's 1,500. It's not the basic on the complex is 4,500 though.
Right. Thank you.
Another question from Ronald. What if the assets are in excess of $10 million?
So it's based on the complexity of the case. How many do they have RSUs? Do they have options? Do they own a business? How much real estate do they own? So if they had one account housing $10 million, it's not very complex. So it just depends on the complexity.
Great. Any other questions? Let me open it up. Karen, Catherine, thank you so much. So many things of what you both are doing, we believe in so strongly at Divorceify. I think that for all of the professionals that are on here today, a few takeaways. Number one, Catherine, the My Divorce Solution Financial Portrait allows all the professional team to work off of the same set of facts. There is nothing more frustrating than when a client comes and tells their lawyer one thing, their financial advisor another, forgets certain statements. This really allows, it's financial clarity for the client, and it's also financial clarity for the professionals working with that client. The other piece that we love about the financial portrait is Karen and Catherine, even though they have much of their process, well, it's not automatic yet, but many aspects are, it's customized. They treat divorce the way divorce should be treated. Every divorce is different. They're able to meet clients where they are and start providing them with the clarity and information. And the last piece, which is why they are just wonderful women and professionals in this field, is they work with the client throughout the process. They don't leave them. They check in and they really do everything to get the client and their family to a better chapter 2 in the best way possible for them. So Karen, Catherine, thank you so very much for today. We are so pumped at Divorceify to have you guys and call you not only friends, but partners. So thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank you
guys.
for
And thank you
having
for
us.
having us.